10 Great Quotes from As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. The shirt across Pa's hump is faded lighter than the rest of it. There is no sweat stain on his shirt. I have never seen a sweat stain on his shirt. He was sick once from working in the sun when he was 22 years old, and he tells people that if he ever sweats, he will die. I suppose he believes it. My mother is a fish. Just as I get up, Cora comes to the door and says it's time to get on. Ance reaches for his shoes. Now, Mr. Bundren, Cora says. Don't you get up now. He puts his shoes on, stomping into them like he does everything, like he is hoping all the time he really can't do it, and he can quit trying to. When we go up the hall, we can hear them clumping on the floor like they was iron shoes. He comes towards the door, where she is, blinking his eyes, kind of looking ahead of himself before he sees, like he is hoping to find her setting up, in a chair maybe, or maybe sweeping, and looks into the door in that surprised way, like he looks in and finds her still in bed, every time, and Dewey Dell still a-fanning her with the fan. He stands there, like he don't aim to move again, nor nothing else. He has been to town this week. The back of his neck is trimmed close with a white line between hair and sunburn like a joint of white bone. He has not once looked back. Jewel, I say. Back running tunneled between the two sets of bobbing mule ears, the road vanishes beneath the wagon as though it were a ribbon and the front axle were a spool. Do you know she is going to die, Jewel? It takes 2 people to make you and 1 people to die. That's how the world is going to end. All right, I said. You have to humor them. You save time by it. I followed her to the back. She put her hand on the gate. There's nothing back there but the prescription case, I said. What do you want? She stopped and looked at me. It was like she had taken some kind of a lid off of her face. Her eyes. It was her eyes. Kind of dumb and hopeful and sullenly willing to be disappointed all at the same time. But she was in trouble of some sort, I could see that. What's your trouble? I said. Tell me what it is you want. I'm pretty busy. I wasn't meaning to hurry her, but a man just hasn't got the time they have out there. He can swim, I say, if he'll just give the horse time anyhow. When he was born, he had a bad time of it. Moll would sit in the lamplight holding him on a pillow on her lap. We would wake and find her so. There would be no sound from them. That pillow was longer than him, Cash says. He is leaning a little forward. I ought to come down last week and sighted it. I ought to done it. That's right, I say. Neither his feet nor his head would reach the end of it. You couldn't have known, I say. That's right, I said. Of course he'd have to borrow a spade to bury his wife with, unless he could borrow a hole in the ground. Too bad you all didn't put him in it, too. Does that hurt? Not to speak of, he said, and the sweat big as marbles running down his face and his face about the color of blotting paper. Course not, I said. About next summer you can hobble around fine on this leg. Then it won't bother you, not to speak of. If you had anything you could call luck, you might say it was lucky this is the same leg you broke before, I said. It's what Pa says, he said. Because a fellow can see every now and then that children have more sense than him, but he don't like to admit it to them until they have beards. It was that boy. I said, "Here, you better take a holt of my hand," and he waited and held to me. I'd be darned if it wasn't like he come back and got me, like he was saying, "They won't nothing hurt you." Like he was saying about a fine place he knowed, where Christmas come twice with Thanksgiving and lasts on through the winter, and the spring, and the summer. And if I just stayed with him, I'd be all right too. It's Cash and Jewel and Vardaman and Dewey Dell, Pa says, kind of hangdog and proud too, with his teeth and all, even if he wouldn't look at us. "Meet Mrs. Bundren," he says.